I did talk to Graham a moment ago, so I know he exists.
Oh, okay. Oh, Adam, I didn't see you there. That's good.
Yeah. Can you hear me? I mean,
Hey, Graham.
hey, how we doing?
Yep.
I'm on my iPad. I have trouble with my Mac, so I'm using my iPad. So do we have a quorum?
Gosh, it sure seems
Yeah.
so.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Beautiful. It's 5:32. Call the meeting to order. Trouble digging up my agenda here. A second. Do we have any public comment?
No, we do not.
Moving on to the minutes of the meeting. The minutes from last meeting. Would anyone like to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. Moving on to the architect's report. Did I see Tecton?
Here, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I see.
Justin's here.
My view is, yeah, sorry.
Hi, Mr. Chair, members of the building committee. Since we met 2 weeks ago, not much new to report, but a ton more happening on site. We have a field report that is from the middle of May that is in your packet for this evening. I can tell you we were in the field today, punch listing the exterior as well as the roof. And next week we'll be punch listing the interior. So continuing to attend weekly OAC meetings, a little bit more of a presence on site during these 2 weeks to make sure that things that we flagged in the field report, coupled with new items that come up, field reports plural, coupled with new items that come up through the punch list, is communicated quickly to Gilbane for their use, their review, and any remedial action that needs to occur. Other than that, still looking to finish strong and coordinate the playscape installation as well as the FF&E starting in approximately a month. So really utilizing this month for CO as well as punch listing, and then getting our third-party vendors queued up for when the building's ultimately turned over. So with that, there are some PCO or ATPs that are under review. We'll be prepared to discuss any of those as they come up.
Great. Any questions for Justin? Hearing none, turn it over to Gilbane for the CM update. A lot going on, I'm sure.
Thank you, Graham. I'm sharing my screen now to give some visuals for tonight's session. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Excellent. Great. So right now what we're looking at is the main level over in Building B. The main level in Building A and Building B, we are substantially clean at this point. We've removed all temporary protection from the floors, and then also all the other surfaces, including millwork, tile, the custom graphics, and then also the tackable wall covering. So cleaning is ongoing up there. We're going to be completing the waxing later this June once we get through the bulk of punch list prior to owner move in later this June, early July. So just holding off on the waxing for the time being. Cleaning on the lower level is ongoing right now. And also we've completed our testing and balancing. Our preliminary reports have been received for both the water and the air. So those are in hand. And now we're just fine tuning all the balance of testing and balancing for the HVAC system between this week and next. We're completing our balance of final inspections, as Justin mentioned. So going through just the different CO items that we need. Forms with the fire department, building department, just collecting those in hand and then preparing our CO binder for the building department. We have good news today. Our state elevator inspection was successfully completed with the state, and we have that certificate now in hand. So a big project milestone that we were able to complete after just a couple delays, just for getting the infrastructure and the dial tone functioning for the project that we were able to work through. And as Justin mentioned, Tim from Tecton was out earlier today. He was able to complete his exterior punch list of the building. And Tim and Catherine are going to be down next week to continue the interior punch walks on the main level and then working their way down to the lower level. So on the screen right now, we have one of the corridors over in the main level of building B. As you can see, everything's been cleaned out. And the green room is one of the typical classrooms over in the kindergarten pre-K wing. So going through that now, we have the gymnasium, which is substantially complete. We're just leaving the floor protection down in the interim as we're getting trades to wrap up and clean the bottom floor of the building over in B. So that floor protection is going to be coming up over the next week or so. Then moving to the exterior of the building, we've completed the sod around the building substantially and put it everywhere that was in place via that change order. So everywhere directly around our beautiful brick facade has been sodded at this point. Other seeding and plantings have been completed as well. And then all of our trees for the project are in the ground prior to any of the cutoffs. All the line striping, exterior improvements were completed as well last week, despite some of the recent rain events that we had throughout the month of May. And then a couple of nice pictures here too. One of them from that corridor with Colonel A with a bunch of light coming into the building. And then one last look over here at the West Playground for pre-K through K. So really everything's come together now, both the exterior and the interior. And now, as Justin and myself have mentioned, just working to get all the documentation in place now and wrap up the strong ending to this project. Any questions regarding the construction update?
I just wanted to mention one thing, Zach. We have not sodded the lower play field yet. That'll happen in the next week or so. Probably this week, if not next. But other than that, yes, as Zach mentioned, all the sod is in.
Looks great.
It does. Yeah.
Hearing no more questions for the Gilbane team, turn it over to Adam for his doing the money part.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. So just going to give you insight into some of the items Colliers have been working on, similar to Tecton and Gilbane, going through these final items leading to substantial completion. A lot of coordination on some of these items needed to check the box. Like Zach had said, the state elevator inspection is one of them. There are a few others to check over the next week or so. So that's in addition to punch list walks, and you kind of take a look at the pictures and see things are. It looks like a school. Looks like it's ready. So it's largely a documentation exercise at this point to get to that turnover phase. But I did want to note that once we hit that, there's still sort of that long tail to get to final completion, not only punch list items, but there are site components that get installed sooner or later in the summer or early fall, just to align with planting timings and things like that. So in general, we'll be having our furniture and moves coming up in the next month or so, like Justin alluded to, with teachers getting in the building, targeted in August. But even then, there'll be little onesie twosie items to clean up as part of the final completion as we get into September and October. So it's always that last 5% that's the bear to get done. But we're rapidly approaching the big completion of it in terms of that owner turnover phase. The other items that Collier's team has been working on include some of the one-off coordination items with items that still haven't shipped from the data packages, for example. So we're working on those. Right now, furniture is still tracking on schedule, so no concerns there. And then also coordinating with the playground vendor on getting them geared up to come out to the site. So notice some of the West Playground has some fencing that won't be installed until later because we're leaving a path for them to get in and out to install the playground scope. Also coordinating with them on some last mile logistics. So we'll have a motion here, or I'm proposing to have a motion here later on this evening about playground scope in terms of some additional subgrade. So working through those items so that way when they're ready to come out and begin their installation, they can keep moving throughout to be complete in August. So again, per usual, trying to see a couple weeks ahead to eliminate any problems before they come into play, and slow things down. So, really with that, that's the update on what I have, with again, leading into some of the change orders, here in a moment.
Yeah, no questions for Adam, I assume. So moving on to item number 6.
All right, so for tonight, we have a few PCOs or ATPs, I should say, and a couple of other approvals that I'll do my typical screen share here. All right, so there are 4 ATPs and a CCD for Gilbane's contract that I'll run through quickly. ATP 47, this is actually, it says for $0. This is for the antenna system. We spoke about this at the last meeting, where there was a potential to have it approved more quickly in between meetings, but we just got the finalized ATP right before this discussion, so putting it before this committee tonight rather than trying to expedite through Peter and George. To refresh everyone's memory, this was an allowance usage, which is why it says $0. So there's no increase to Gilbane's contract. This was all planned for in that $200,000 allowance, and this ATP would authorize Gilbane to utilize just over 180,000 of that to actually procure and install the distributed antenna system to make the cell reception work inside the building. So that is ATP 47. ATP 99 is for 33,975 for some site work and grading work that needed to occur at the northern portion of the site. Justin, do you want to run through this one? You were coordinating with Benesh on this.
Yeah, we needed to increase the coverage of the septic, or the area over the septic field, as well as the north parking area, by approximately 6 inches throughout. This was a coordination item in between a detail on the civil engineers detail and the elevations that were called out in the contract documents. This is frankly a miss from our consultants, and we evaluated the corrective measures based on the location of the septic field as it was as built, and this was the most cost-effective solution. The entitlement is basically for 6 additional inches of fill and labor that's associated with it.
This is at the northern portion of the site, so coordinating the grading there.
Any
So, that
questions
was-
for anyone? There you go. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Yeah, just
ATP 101 is for $945. This is for disconnect switches at some pumps. So if you recall, last meeting we had some disconnect switches for a different component. This is for pumps as opposed to, I forget what the other one was, but hydronic pumps in coordination with Kohler-Ronan, and is required by code. So that's ATP 101. And then ATP 104 for $980. This is the change to some of the electrical receptacles in our data closets to align the power that was being provided with the purchase of the actual equipment going in there, as we worked through the FF&E package, which came after the initial design. So the outlets needed to change to align with that equipment. So that's what that $980 was for. And then the last Gilbane item is CCD 3. CCD is the Construction Change Directive. This is a collection of changes through potential changes through the building for power and data updates. A lot of it is coordinating with the principal and some of her staff and town IT on some of the final locations of where staffing are going to be located. So, for example, there might be two people that end up being in a spot that we thought only might have one. And there wasn't enough power and data to support two workstations. So these updates are reflective of those discussions as part of that last mile coordination after, like I said, the school administration was able to put a name to every single one of the spots, which was different than we thought, a year and a half ago when we finished the design. So the reason why this is a CCD is because it's the pricing of it is still being confirmed, but given the time nature of it, where there's the desire to get these items wrapped up and finalized before the end of June, so they're in place before furniture gets installed. Gilbane requested that we authorize it on a more expedited basis, and we track it via time and materials, just so that way, they don't try to get quotes from everybody, and then it's the end of June before they even start trying to do the work. So that's why this is a construction change directive as opposed to an ATP. And per usual, Colliers and Tecton will see the tickets for the labor as it comes through to do the work. All right, I will pause there. Are there any questions on those 5 items under Gilbane's scope? All right, I will put the draft motions up on the screen now.
Do we have a volunteer to read the motions?
Just stick with me doing it.
Perfect.
Okay. Motion to approve ATP 47 for the use of owner allowance number 1 in the amount of $180,946 for the procurement and installment of a distribution antenna system for cellular phones.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve ATP 99 for a change to Gilbane's existing construction contract in the amount of $33,975 for revised grading at the northwest parking area.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve ATP 101 for a change in Gilbane's existing construction contract in the amount of $945 for code required disconnect switches at hydronic pumps.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve ATP 104 for change to Gilbane's existing construction contract in the amount of $980 for electrical outlet changes in the IT closets to support the equipment per bulletin 42.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve CCD 03 for change to Gilbane's existing construction contract on the time and material basis not to exceed $25,000 for power and data modifications per bulletin 51. Scope was coordinated with the school administration and final furniture and equipment selection and will be conducted in June, not tied to the substantial completion of the building.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Moving on to the other 2 procurement items for this evening. The first is a quote for $1,250 to Trasig, who is a certified playground inspector and tester. So once our playground vendor installs the playgrounds, they'll come out, review it against the standard playground criteria, CPSI, I think is the acronym, and do the impact testing, which is basically they take a meter and they bounce it against the rubberized surface to make sure that there's a sufficient amount of cushion against all the pieces of equipment. So this is a third party, so that way they're doing the checking against the playground inspector's work to make sure it's all compliant. So that's the first item up in this other section. The second item that's a draft motion, but I don't have any documentation to go with it. It's basically a request similar to what I asked last week of the committee to potentially authorize Peter and George to review a change order when it comes in from the playground vendor for subgrade work and or some rubberized surfacing work. Effectively, there is based on the final playground design, we have a rubberized surface that is designed to vary in height depending upon which piece of equipment you have. So swing sets where someone might fly off and jump on the rubberized surface might have a more springy, deeper amount of rubberized surfacing than something that's low to the ground. And it's, if you fall off of it, it's not as big of a impact. And you typically do that to potentially save some money on the rubberized surfacing. Right now, there is a bit of a gap between Gilbane's scope for the subgrade surfacing and the playground installer scope for putting down the surfacing. So the intention for this change order is to eliminate that last mile of subgrade preparation, or just simply making the rubberized surfacing bigger to resolve the inch or two that needs to be put across all the playgrounds. I was hoping to have a quote for you all this evening, but that didn't materialize. And the playground inspector is slated to start ideally later this month, but contractually July 1st. So if something comes in and it is amenable to Peter and George, I wanted to see if the committee was amenable to them potentially approving it. Again, the reason why the motion you'll see has an and/or in there is that there's sort of two routes we can take. Either they can add more rubberized surface, which costs more but is faster, or they can adjust the subgrades, which will take them about a week longer, but be a little less expensive. But I don't have real numbers other than a rough estimate at this point. So when I put the motion up on the screen, that's what that pertains to, again, if the group is open to having that potentially be approved in between meetings. I'll put the motions up, but happy to answer any questions about either of these two items as well.
Would someone hearing no questions, would someone like to read the motion?
Sure. Motion to award playground inspection and testing services to Trazic in the amount of $1,250.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to authorize the expedited approval subcommittee to approve a change order to Pro-Built Designs for additional playground subgrade preparation and or rubberized surfacing work with the expected value less than $75,000.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Right, thank you so much. That's all I have for this evening.
Moving on to item number 7, public comment. Do we have any public with us with their hand raised?
No, we do not.
Excellent. Moving on to the last item, number 8, remarks. Anyone care to?
I have a
Make-
question.
Yep.
Do we have a schedule of all the remaining meetings of this committee somewhere? My calendar got messed up.
Yeah, we have a published, I think we have to, for the town clerk, we publish the dates.
Yeah. Do you have
Give me a
that,
moment, I'll
Adam?
flash
Maybe you
on the
could just
screen.
either that or just email it to me? We could?
I'll do both. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we move around a little in summer, we move a few around because of holidays.
Yeah, because I have it in every week for some reason.
Oh.
So I don't think that's right. So, oh, there we go.
So I'll email this out, but this way you kind of get a glance at it.
You think we're really going all the way to December 15th, Adam? Come on, we done in
He doesn't, he'd miss us if we,
There are always
There-
invoices to pay.
yeah.
I'm hoping by the end of the following year, we're wrapped up, to be honest, but that's just me saying.
I took a picture. You don't have to email it to me. So.
Okay.
Thanks.
Got it. Well, then I guess, would anyone like to make I think I know the answer to this. Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I will do that.
Thank you very much. A second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.